All right, we're live. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of The Context. I'm Shannon Williams. I'm super excited to be here with Angie Jones, the VP of Engineering over at Block and the leader of the Goose project. Hey, Angie.
Hey, Shannon. Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well. We're going to be chatting all about Goose today and giving an update on the Goose project. Before we get started, though, a little bit of housekeeping. This is it. Today is the last day to submit a talk. Please don't submit a talk. Angie and I have to read all these submissions, and we are now at a point where we are begging you not to submit any more talks. I can't read another talk. I cannot believe. Yesterday, we were well over 400 talks, and I can't even imagine. Last minute submissions are going to go crazy. It goes until 11:59 tonight, and I really don't do it. You won't get. I mean, last minute, that's already a strike against you. So don't even bother, right, Angie?
Submit your ideas. Submit your ideas. We want to hear them. We want to hear.
Man, Angie is nicer than me. I'm like, enough already. We must have some good ones in there. Angie, you said you're just getting started. You have not.
Yeah, I haven't looked at any of them yet, except the number. I looked and it was overwhelming, and I closed the site down. So I gotta wait.
Angie is on the program committee with me and Tadas and a whole bunch of other friends from the MCP community who are all going to be reading and reviewing these talks. And right off the bat, the first one I read was like a PhD from Berkeley, and I was wow, we're leveling up.
Yeah.
we're getting a better class of criminal, right? A better class of speaker is showing up. That's what happens. The LF comes around and everything kind of gets a little more, legit. Not like when we were, putting it on. So I am excited about this new LF version of the MCP Summit. And we are really, if you haven't already, I'm going to go back a slide. If you haven't already, go and register for your slot. I think this is going to sell out. The last two sold out. This one's for sure going to sell out. And you don't want to be left. Both in London and in San Francisco, the last week, I was just inundated with old friends and acquaintances and everyone under the sun asking for tickets. And there's nothing I can do. The tickets are gone, especially now we're at the New York Marriott Marquis, and there is just not that much space in there. We booked this when we were very little, and now we're getting bigger. The rumor is we're targeting 1,000 people for this event, and already the plan for the next event in the fall in Europe is 2,000 people. That's how much the demand and the interest in AI agents and the AI Agent Foundation, Agentic AI Foundation, I got to get it right, is exploding. So submit a proposal if you really, really, really want to. Definitely register, come hang out. Angie and I will be there. We will be there with bells on, chatting, talking, and really excited to see everyone. If you haven't been paying attention, the Context has been hosting all sorts of people talking about all sorts of things on MCPs and agentic development. And so go back, take a look. We still share the same YouTube channel as the MCP Dev Summit. And so, please sign up, subscribe, watch, stay involved, and really submit to speak. We've got 400 submissions plus for the Context at best, or for the conference. At best, we're going to get probably 15% of those are going to get accepted. We just don't have enough slots for everybody. So if your talk doesn't get accepted, or if you want to try and jump the queue before everybody who doesn't get accepted submits, scan the QR code, submit, come on the Context, show everyone what you're doing, and your talk will be right next to all the talks from the conference on the same YouTube channel. So with that, it's time to talk about the Goose. Angie, I am so excited to have you here, and I'm so excited to hear about Goose. You guys have been very big part of this new Agentic AI Foundation by contributing Goose and being one of the original starting platinum members that founded the organization. So first of all, congratulations and thank you. How's it going?
It's going great. It's been amazing. We've seen so much interest. To catch folks up, we co-founded uh the Agentic AI Foundation with Anthropic, who donated MCP, and OpenAI, who donated the Agents MD standard, and Goose, which is an MCP client, your coding agent. And so now you have like this beautiful package of, all right, I have things that I can trust. I don't have to worry about a rug pull, like, oh, is like Block gonna start charging for Goose, or is Anthropic gonna just kind of keep MCP for themselves? Like, you don't have to worry about these things anymore. It's in a safe home that will govern these things. And so that's been wonderful. A whole slew of companies have joined us, and as
What's the
members.
number up to? Do you know how many members there are now? I mean, you
I
probably
don't
know.
know, but last I heard, there was interest from hundreds more companies. And so the steering committee needs to kind of review those and things like that. But it made a really big splash, and a lot of companies want to be involved, which is wonderful for open AI, like open, when I'm not the company, like AI and openness. We definitely want to make sure, as we're developing all of these various standards, techniques, and ways to work with AI, specifically AI agents, that we do this in a way that the community can contribute to it. It's open. It's not siloed in any one company. So I think this is amazing.
So now that you're part of the steering committee and you're kind of doing this, tell us what that's like. Like, are you guys meeting every month, every 2 months? What are you talking about? Like, what does it mean to be on the steering committee of the AAIF? Like, what is the? I've been on the steering committee of the CNCFs, or the governing board, I should say. And so I'm curious, like, every foundation's a little different. Everything is a little, I imagine it's a great group of people. I know most of the people on there. You got a great group to work with, but what's the flow like? What are you doing every day?
Yeah.
Month or
I'm
every quarter?
personally not on the steering committee,
Okay.
but Block has representation there. And so our head of open source, Monik Sartani. He is representing us, as well as Bradley Axon, who created Goose. And so what those guys are doing, from what I understand, they're essentially have worked together. These various companies work together to come up with the rules for governing, as well as opportunities, like community opportunities. For example, the MCP Dev Summit that we talked about, it is a great place where we want to have the conference. That's also been donated to the foundation. And so those sorts of things, reviewing applications from companies that want to be a part of that, ensuring that their vision and mission aligns with the foundation, that there's adoption of the things that they may want to donate, things like that.
All right. Well, let's talk more about Goose, because we could talk all day about the foundation. Maybe we'll have a whole foundation bit at the end. But you guys have been doing a ton. I mean, since the beginning of MCP, Goose has been, without a doubt, the forerunner in supporting MCP features, MCP UI, MCP sampling, like just over and over again. The spec, you guys have been right at the front, and it's for a long time been the best way to test. And many of the people who come on our show demo using Goose, because Goose is one of the best ways to demo features of MCP, because a lot of the clients don't support all of the specs. So maybe just give us a little bit of an update. How's Goose going? What's the, what are you guys measuring these days to sort of like, because it's always been a little odd. Odd in a good way, but like Block is Square, Block is Cash App, Block is a financial services company. Goose is a really cool open source project that's kind of for everybody. And the two things are not obviously connected to an outsider. You look at it, like, no obvious connection. So what does success mean to you guys? Like, because you're not a startup per se, where you're like, oh, success is getting a funding round, or
Right.
having 10 million, 10,000 stars, or 15,000 stars on. So how do you guys measure success, and like, how's it going?
Yeah. So some of our like guiding principles and things that we really care about do align with Goose. When you look at it that way, it's like, oh, that makes sense. So we care very much so about openness and autonomy and things like that. We open source a lot of projects. Goose has gotten the most attention because AI, right? But we open source a whole bunch of stuff. We have a world-class engineering team who like they're brilliant and they do brilliant work, and we love sharing that back to the general body. And so Goose was just that. And yeah, we put some effort around shaping the conversation because we think that it's extremely important as we build out. This is like the days when we were building the web, Shannon, like way back. You don't want this stuff to be done behind closed doors or within a few startups with venture capitalist money behind them. The motives don't always align. And so we think that it's really important to provide this open alternative to some of those. Goose has a bring your own key model. So we don't have a dog in the model fight, right? Bring whatever you want. You want to use Claude models, you want to use Gemini models, you want to use OpenAI models, like bring whatever you want and use it in Goose, right? And so that's really important. The other thing is we have like 300 something contributors. So some of these folks like say they're open source, they might have a GitHub repo, maybe the source is not visible or they're not taking contributions or things like that. Goose is the complete opposite because this is the platform where we want the community to speak about what they want agentic AI to be. What do they want to see? And what we've noticed is that Goose is always on the cutting, leading edge. And then the other platforms, the more popular ones, adopt, right? Because Goose has given the community the megaphone to say, no, this is what I think I want. Let me try it out. I put it in Goose. Oh, yeah, this is exactly what I want. This is how agents should function. This is how MCP servers should function, right? And then you see the others say, oh, okay, there's demand for that. Let's put it in our products as well, which is a beautiful thing, right? And so Goose is that one that's always on the cutting edge. If you want to know what's happening in agentic AI, look at Goose.
So maybe, for anybody who's not familiar and hasn't tried Goose, doesn't have it sitting on their app bar like I do, tell everybody what Goose is, and maybe, I don't know if you want to show off a little bit of Goose. I can share.
Yeah. So Goose is a AI agent, and it comes in various interfaces. So this is the desktop app. There's also the CLI. We were one of the first to introduce these things, right? So MCP clients as a CLI, MCP clients as a desktop. We actually partnered with Anthropic as they were building out the MCP spec. And Block was the first contributor to that project. And so we built this as they were building the spec and kind of, tested it out as a reference implementation of a MCP client, right? And so desktop, CLI, you can even plug it into your IDE, which is really great. And so, yeah, essentially you can do all sorts of things. I'll show you, like, I have how many extensions? A lot. I got all of the MCP servers here. So we call them extensions in Goose, but I have plenty of MCP servers, which allows me to do lots of things, right? So I do regular productivity things. If you see on my whole homepage, one is like I'm messing with some branch conflicts. So I'm over here in GitHub doing some stuff. And then I'm scheduling some Asana tasks. Like I rarely go to those interfaces anymore. I do everything through Goose. So if I want to make a new issue, if I want to track what my team is doing or anything like that, I'm connecting to the Asana MCP, and I'm like, hey, Goose, put this in here. Then I set up a scheduling thing as well. And so now I'm like, hey, I have all of these issues in Asana that I need, but my calendar is jam-packed with meetings. So I have Goose go and run these things for me, like check Asana, see what I need to do, make an estimate on like how much time that'll take, find some time on my calendar and put in what you can for this week so that, you know, I have time to actually do work and not in meetings all day. And recipes is something else that's pretty cool in Goose. And similar to skills, but we introduced recipes months and months and months ago. But recipes are a way to essentially write in Markdown a prompt, couple that with things like MCP servers. You can add variables and things like that, but you want to run those every day. Let me see if I want to show y'all my recipes. Whew, I don't know. But, you know, I do things a lot like run reports, for example, where it's going to be the same thing every day. I know I need to check these sources to get data. It might be GitHub, it might be Snowflake database, it could be various things. But here's my report template. Go do the actions, fill it all in, and give me a generated report every week. And these can be scheduled. So when I walk in on Monday morning, I already have my report ready for me. So yeah, that's Goose in a nutshell.
I love it. And so right now, Goose remains, it's all software. There isn't a Goose web service or anything. It's not like I can go and use it the way I use ChatGPT as a hosted cloud-based service. It's always local to me. I run it on my machine, correct?
Yeah, it's local to you, not cloud-based. We are seeing people use like the CLI in a headless mode within their environment. So for example, in GitHub, like we have our headless Goose kind of running in there to do some stuff for us, things like that. But yeah, local, we care about privacy a lot. This was another thing, like, hey, this is something that we think is important in agentic AI, that you have the option to do things locally. So it works with local models where then you can do everything just right on your computer. But I will say, local models are, you know, they're limited in what they can do, especially if you're running on a regular laptop like I am. If you have some power there, then you might get some better use out of them. But, you know, they pale in comparison to some of the frontier models. But we're hoping that's getting better as you go on. But then you have things where, hey, I can do stuff from the plane. I can do stuff from a train ride. There's no Wi-Fi. And that's totally okay.
Let me ask you this. So inside a block, Goose is pretty widely used. You came and talked about that at an MCP summit and talked about how many people are using it internally. Have you talked to other companies about how they're adopting Goose and what they're doing with Goose? Like, what are some of the stories you hear?
Yeah, so people really like it because Goose is so customizable. So like I said, let me go to my settings and show y'all. So I can like switch models. Mine is this is perfect because I am inside. So this is not the open source version. We have our own like kind of corporate version of Goose. It's the same app, but we add some layers to kind of restrict stuff. So there's only like certain models that I have access to as an employee in Block, right? And so that way companies can say like, oh, okay, these are the ones that we support or we maybe have, you know, NDAs with or whatever. And we do this through Databricks. So they're our model hosts. But yeah, you can do things like that. You can have even allow lists in a corporate environment where I'm not just letting employees pull any old MCP server off of the internet. In fact, all of these MCP servers are ones, most of them, I'm not going to say all, but most of them are ones that Block developed themselves. And so we develop our own MCP servers and we utilize those. So we have maybe close to 200 MCP servers that we have internally. And so we are seeing companies say, oh, this is perfect. because that's the fear. Like, I don't want to just bring in something and then like let my folks go wild with it. So we're able to like customize this for our needs. And so yeah, we are seeing some other companies adopt Goose internally and craft it to what they want that to be. And because it works for everything. It's general purpose. We see most of our audience is developers, because developers are always on the cutting edge, but it works for everybody. So we have people all over the company utilizing Goose, right? Marketing, finance, design, everybody is able to utilize Goose. And it's one of many. We don't just have this one. We use Claude Code, we use Cursor and all the usual suspects as well. But it's great to have this one internally that gives that flexibility.
We've at OBOT we do MCP Gateway, and so we work with a lot of companies that are rolling out kind of MCPs at scale and want to connect to different clients. And recently, Goose has come up a couple times with people who are like, oh, we have a very heterogeneous set of AI clients these days. Like, we use Enterprise ChatGPT, we have Copilot, we have the coding apps, we have the development tools like N8N or Gumloop or things like that. And Goose is coming up as one of the things that people want to be able to connect their MCPs or an MCP registry to, where they can be like, oh, I've got my own personal MCP registry and I just attach that to whatever client we support. Have you guys started looking at MCP registry support and being able to take like kind of a personal registry for a user where they kind of mount a registry?
Yeah, we think that's really interesting. To be honest, we're like really focused on the feature development, and then we'll like start working some of these things now that it's in the foundation. Like, we need to kind of collab with them as well. But that's the beauty. The registry is part of MCP, and so that was donated as well. And so we definitely want to start looking at like, how do we kind of like maybe even set our own like kind of sub registry of MCP service, but we haven't started yet.
Very cool. Well, there's a lot you said you've been adding. I think you mentioned MCP apps. You mentioned like, tell me about apps. When did you guys get on? I mean, we just had the guys on talking about MCP apps maybe 2-3 weeks ago, just before the holidays. When did you add the MCP apps?
Yeah, we had it very early on. MCP UI. So is when we started, before it was called the apps. And so we, like I said, Goose is the place where you're going to see what's new and what's trending, right? Before it hits mainstream. And so we actually, one of our designers worked very closely with the MCP UI guys to implement this in Goose. So we've had it for several months now. And now, as most of you know, this has been adopted by like Anthropic and OpenAI to come up with an MCP apps standard, which is wonderful. And so we've been working on that. Now we're cooking. We live in Discord, so if anybody wants to come and just see what we're up to, we actually work in Discord. The development team does, and so you see all of our conversations, what we're thinking about, how we might want to implement it. We have GitHub discussions as well, where people, like I said, Goose is like for the people, right? And so this is not an initiative where we need to even talk in secrecy, right? This is not a block product, if you will. This is something that is truly community driven. So yeah, so MCP apps, you can go in Discord and check out some of the things that we're cooking up. There's some PRs already open now to really bring that forth. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to what that'll look like, and the many different apps that people will bring. I'll likely probably do a little hackathon or something once we have that in there, build some MCP apps and let's see them in Goose, Yeah.
Have you been last question, have you been personally, how much have you been vibe coding these days? Like, I feel like everybody I talk to is like, oh man, like I used to, at the end of the day, I'd like go grab it, I'd go watch a show, and now I find myself in an IDE on my couch and I'm like vibe coding things that I want, like just I want for myself. it's like the internet's going to become personal. Like people are just like, oh, my little pet project that I always wanted to do, I just did it, and I'm super excited.
Oh yeah, I'm vibe coding all the time. But I use it for a lot of other things, but I also still do some vibe coding, especially like, oh, I wanted like a cool website. This is something I'm working on right now. Like last night, yeah, this is the time you're supposed to like shut your laptop, go eat dinner and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm tired of showing my status updates in this boring, Excel spreadsheet. I want a fun website that's like got animations and stuff. And so I'm cooking that up right now. But yeah, I'm still doing a lot of stuff. And let me tell you, it's gonna get worse. We now you're able to like work with Goose, your local Goose, from your phone now. We just launched that. And so I just saw one of the people on my team like, oh yeah, I'm making this app from the bed on my phone, in Goose. So I thought that was really cool as well. But some of the other cool, like cutting edge, I'm just gonna give y'all a quick rundown of some of the cutting edge stuff that's out there. And everything I say again is not specific only to Goose. And so Goose is a good place to keep up to date with what's happening across agentic AI in general. So code mode that was introduced by Cloudflare. So we got code mode in Goose now. Shannon, I tried it starting like last week and I'm sold on it. I mean, code mode is where it's a different way to use MCP tools. So instead of the agent calling those tools directly, it writes itself a little like JavaScript function or something. And guess what? The agents or the models are way more trained on that sort of code than the MCP tool code. And so it works so much better, so much more efficiently. I saw more than half of the savings with tokens, with context, with all of that by using code mode. So I tested it out. I did the exact same task, which basically I needed to search across our 25,000 repos to look for some patterns. And then I needed to check Snowflake for some data. So I'm doing queries. I'm searching these repos, all of this in this one session. Usually something like that, I would have run out of my context before I got to where I was going, and I would have needed to compact or something like that. That didn't happen. I still had so much more space left in the window. And I ran that same prompt again. I turned code mode off and ran it again. And then I had Goose do a comparison of that, and it gave me the numbers. And so each one of them was 50 plus percentage points of efficiency. So that's cool. We got skills. Everybody talking about agent skills right now. We got that in Goose. We have from MCP sampling. So that's another piece of another feature of the spec that we don't see implemented in a lot of places. And so that's in Goose now. So if you have an MCP server, you're thinking about adding some sampling in there where you can actually reuse your user's LLM for your needs in your server, then check out Goose. Try it out in Goose, right? ACP is another protocol, agent client protocol, where you can bring your agent into your IDE. So we now support that. Now I'm using Goose in VS Code and things like that. So those are great. And then there's always the fun little patterns of how do I do prompting or context engineering better. RPI is one that's trending a lot from the folks from Human Layer. That's research, plan, then implement. We're seeing such great, we use that a lot in Block, and we're seeing so much better quality when we do it that way. So that's a combination of custom slash commands in recipes. And then the Ralph Wiggum loop, we got that going. So that's now kind of built in. We got some recipes that you can use that if you want to play around with that technique as well. So
Can you explain that to someone? I had someone else try to explain it the other day, and I was like, "Man, I feel like you're speaking Spanish." So
no, that's simple. So instead of like me trying to figure out so much, I give Goose the thing, the prompt. Like, I'll give you the example. Rizelle on my team, she said, Goose, go make me a web browser. I want you to build me a web browser. And, you know, she gave some criteria. And instead of her going back and forth with the session, you put this in a bash. And so you got a loop going where she has, you do some implementation. Then she uses another model. That's the thing about letting people bring their own models. You can mix and match. I can have, you know, Opus 4.5 doing the implementation, and then maybe I have a cheaper model or something doing the verification from a whole nother vendor, right? And so yeah, she has this in a loop, and so it executes, does a little piece, another model then checks that work, say no, you messed up here, here, and here, and then you just keep going in a loop until the other one is like, okay, now we got it, right? And so that's your Ralph Wiggum loop in a nutshell. But yeah,
I love it. All right, Angie, we kept you half an hour already. I promised 20 minutes. So I appreciate you coming on. I'm so excited to be working on the conference with you. We are going to be reading. I'm probably not going to have as much time to vibe code, but I am. Yeah, it's great to get an update on Goose. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, everybody, for participating, and go check out Goose. It's really cool and a very, very fun way to see what MCP can really do. It takes you a lot further than any other chat client you're going to find out there. So
all right.
Thank you, Angie.
Thank you, Shannon. See you soon.
Take care.
Bye.